We are an integrated energy management solutions company, providing some insight to customers about why they should think about energy management solutions and kind of directing them towards some innovative solutions that are going to save them some money, help them with their sustainability objectives, maybe help them generate some cash for some pet projects within their company, some R&D or patient care or any of that kind of thing. So providing a true value-added service to customers that they get excited about too. What we mean by integrated energy solutions is essentially full turnkey A to Z. So analyzing your current energy consumption patterns and quantity, so both on a sort of daily and seasonal basis to sort of identify. We do measurement and targeting, identifying where the opportunities are, identifying the right solutions for those opportunities. We try to work with sort of tech-enabled Ontario-based companies where possible, and then providing the installation, maintenance, the whole soup to nuts. So looking after the whole solution flow. You're totally integrated. We're not going to hand anything off to another consultant or to a contractor. We're going to look after it all. So yes, in an environmental sense, we all understand the idea of limited resources available to us and non-renewable resources. We are using up the planet's resources at some defined rate, and we all know what the population projections are. They're not going down, they're going the other way. So it means we need more resources, and it's currently on our consumption path. That's not a sustainable path that we're currently on. So that's the environmental angle on it. The business angle on it is, of course, as the costs of acquiring those resources to drive your business go up. So as the resources dwindle, supply and demand says the resources become more expensive. More expense to my business is a bad thing, erodes profits. So what I want to do, of course, is then reduce those costs. So the two do go hand in hand. If I invest as a business owner in a energy conservation measure that saves me money, I'm also reducing my demand on the environmental footprint in terms of generating those resources or that input to my business that I need. So it's a win-win all the way around.
When designing lighting systems around LED or SSL, distinct advantages come into play. One of the things that you'll find, you're looking at a typical from 1/3 to 1/4 of the original amount of electricity used. So you're reducing greatly from 66 to 75%, or even better sometimes. But you would tend to increase the actual light being produced in the environment. So this is a great thing for businesses. It reduces their cost of operation. And also, on top of it, if the system is designed correctly, it'll have a lifetime that could exceed or 20, 15, 30 years, depending on the actual manufacturer and how they've designed it. So there's a shift happening. We're to a point now, realistically, if we were to build a brand new building, the lighting that goes in during construction should be the same lighting that's in the building when it's torn down. LED lighting is measured with a term called L70, which is lifetime 70%. An LED luminaire is actually considered to be extinguished or out when it loses 30% of its initial light value. And that's why it's called the L70 rating, lifetime 70. Now, LED products right now, typical L70 ratings are somewhere between 50, 100, even as high as 200 and 300,000 hours, statistically. Now, you think about this for a moment. Let's just say that it's 200,000 hours. I think that's approximately, 32 years based on a 12-hour burn time every single day. So you'll have a light for 32 years, it'll be 30% dimmer. If you compare that against comparable lighting, you've got fluorescent bulbs, which will have a total lifetime on average 50,000 hours before it's burnt out completely, 100%. A 30% light loss can happen depending on the manufacturers and what kind of ballast, sometime around month 18 to 24. So a comparison of something that's 30% dimmer in 2 years versus something that's 30% dimmer in 32 years.
The sort of ultimate end game here for energy management and this sustainability in general is the promise of microtechnology, right? I mean, it's embedded microprocessors have become so cheap. You can put them everywhere. If you look at a car that you can go buy today, nanotechnology allows you to have tire pressure gauges in real time. They give you an alert when your tire is low, and all of this kind of stuff. It was Star Trek stuff, even 5 years ago. So there's the concept of Moore's Law, which is that basically semiconductor-based solutions become twice as effective at half the price every 18 months, is really what we're riding in a lot of areas. So both wireless and embedded microprocessors, and actually LED lighting. I mentioned earlier, LED lighting is an area that benefits from that cost performance curve, the Moore's Law side of things. So once you're on that, just think of what goes on in this laptop today, or even your phone. Is way more powerful than it was even a couple of years ago. So in the future, we will be able to interact with all kinds of building systems in terms of being able to control them, get reports on their health. We look at building systems, as looking at the integrated solution, meaning, again, using the automobile analogy, you take your car in for tune-ups and checkups and keep it running efficiently so you get better gas mileage and all of those kind of things. Same thing with your building. If you can measure it and read it and see what's going on, then you can manage it and keep things tuned up and running efficiently, as opposed to waiting till it breaks and then getting a big repair bill.
SSL is actually just a technical term for LED. It talks about the actual individual chip package itself. The chips themselves are very small, very high sources of light. The advantage that they have over incumbent forms of lighting is that they produce a lot of light and not a lot of heat. Every single form of lighting produces both light and heat, and the energy used from the electricity goes into both. So obviously, if you limit the heat and create more light, the lighting technology becomes more efficient. This is the advantage that LED has. LED also has an advantage of being able to create a lot of light in a very small footprint of space. This allows flexibility in design of the fixtures and luminaires.
In terms of the energy environment here in Ontario, what's important to most businesses is just awareness. I mean, we've traditionally looked at energy costs as just a fixed cost. Bills come in, it goes into accounts payable, they get paid, nobody even looks at it. We are certainly, there's been studies done that show that energy costs are, if they are not already, they're about to become probably the third largest input cost to most businesses, which is a big deal. So why would you not manage that as a big cost? Having either a service provider that is able to sort of look at that and manage it for them, or having an internal person and or department that looks at energy management as part of their cost base is I think critically important going forward, or they're going to get some nasty surprises, frankly.
For a business owner looking to make the transition into LED lighting, they should know a few basic facts about their own business. And one of them is, how long are your lights on? And most people don't understand that. Office building owners will often tell you their lights are on 40 hours a week because people work 9 to 5. Well, that's not necessarily the case in today's environment. A lot of people get in at 6:30, 7 a.m. They may work late till 6, 7, 8 p.m. You may have a cleaning staff that comes in at 9, 10, 11 p.m. The next thing you know, when you really add it up and take a hard look at it, you may be burning 18 hours a day, 6 days a week, rather than 40 hours a day or 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. These sort of basic facts, it's interesting to see how many people really don't know. Sometimes it's tracked through building systems, sometimes it's not. It's different for each business. The second thing that you might want to know about your business or your lighting system in general is, what do you actually have? Are those T8s in the ceiling? Are those T12s? Can you even get T12s anymore? Are those 400 watt metal halides outside? Are those 320 metal halides? Are those 1,000 watt metal halides? Most people really don't know. And it's worth a few moments to take a look, or to have someone else on your team take a look, so you know what that is. So you can actually compare what the watt draw currently is and what's being proposed. So if you don't know what's in your building, what your lighting is, because that's not your day-to-day job. Your day-to-day job is to consult or sell somebody a product. Your lighting is something that's about your facility. So you might want to call someone else in to do that audit for you, someone like a Tradeforce Tech. Someone who has the expertise can come through very quickly and start to do an actual watt draw of what you're having in your facility right now. At
the core of any building is the power distribution system. You have to get power to the lights, you have to get power to your computers, you have to get power to everything in your building. And power distribution within a building is starting to bubble to the top here in Canada a little bit. It's a little more advanced, as I said earlier, a little more advanced in the U.S. and much more advanced over in Europe. But looking at just looking at the efficiency of just taking the power into your building and distributing it out to all the loads, that is handled through transformers. So that takes the higher voltage that comes into your building and converts it down into the lower voltage that all our equipment needs. And at a very simple level, transformers themselves have kind of been hidden away in electrical rooms and that kind of thing, and under closets and whatnot for years. You don't really think about them. Everybody kind of hears them buzzing when you go into the electrical room when they're hot and they're stinky. But they've been, over the years, the new construction low-cost drivers for building new buildings have driven the efficiency of those transformers down and down and down over the years. The U.S. Department of Energy identified power distribution transformers as an offender, let's say, when it comes to energy inefficiency. They did an analysis that said that, in their estimation, between 13 and 15 days of the total generating capacity of the U.S. grid was being wasted unnecessarily as heat due to inefficiency in transformers. So this is one technology we're now seeing a curve where we've hit the bottom, and over the next 10 years we're going to see a couple of jumps in efficiencies in transformers. We happen to work with an Ontario vendor that is actually the world leader in high efficiency transformers, lowest total cost of ownership. It's like anything else. You get a high performance device, you pay a little more for it, but it's got a payback to it. And both in terms of just transforming that power into your building, it's more efficient. You're just, everything that you're loading on that transformer, you're gaining savings on. And the other piece of it then is you're also not throwing us off as much heat in the building, which brings down your air conditioning load.
I think it's important for any business to understand not to wait. There's a hesitancy for people to say, well, I will wait till tomorrow because it'll be cheaper tomorrow. Well, what they really need to calculate is what they're losing today because they haven't done it tomorrow. Just today, we did a small proposal, a small energy study for a client. They would be going from 161,000 kilowatts used annually down to approximately 50,000 kilowatts used annually. That's a lot of money they're losing by not making the switch today.
Sub-metering, as it's known, which is, as the name would suggest, getting down to some subsystem level and metering it and seeing what's going on. So the ultimate example of that would be, metering exactly how much power my computer is using and putting a little wireless meter on this lead here and saying, you know what, here's how much power I'm using and here's when I'm using it during the day. There are very cost-effective technologies available now, and actually we work with a local company, a local Waterloo region startup that has a really interesting low-cost wireless meter. And it allows us to go in and do measurement and targeting where it really wasn't possible. It wasn't cost-effective before. So we can go in and clamp on to all kinds of different things, usually at the panel, at the distribution panel in the building, or multiple distribution panels, and provide that information to the customer, and then look at, it could be as simple as just change the timing on whatever process equipment, or maybe put a timer on or a motion sensor on a lighting system without actually having to go change the lighting. I mean, the real simple thing would be just change some behaviors, and that can usually behavior change can usually knock 10% off just like that without actually putting any money into changing a system.
Well, LED lighting, to me, is the most exciting thing that's happened to lighting since Edison came up with the electric light bulb. Truly, to take advantage of the technology, you have to change your thought about lighting entirely. Just like as people had to go from changing their thought from lighting from gas lamp to electric bulb, people are now starting to get that change when it comes to LED lighting, or SSL, solid state lighting. The way that the technology can be used as opposed to incumbent forms of lighting is really unique. And it really requires a mind shift that changes from buying a fixture or buying a bulb to actually buying light. Because you don't necessarily will go one for one if you're looking at a retrofit or if you're looking at ultimate different designs from construction. The technology is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy where it's going, both from my company and the other innovations brought by other companies out there.
Hi, my name is Phil Clayton, and I am the maintenance manager here at the Brick Brewing Company. Energy conservation usually equates to dollars, and we know we spend about $1.2 million on utilities a year. We needed a way to measure our electrical consumption, and Hydro had the device that we needed. With Hydro, we're able to isolate process by process and capture the data required to move into that continuous improvement project. Without it, we just calculate and estimate. In terms of installing the hardware, it was really easy. It's just like installing a clamp-on meter onto a line and plugging it into the wireless device, and we were broadcasting the data almost immediately. The result of working with Hydro on this project was we were able to reduce our kilowatt hour consumption by 117,000 kilowatt hours, as well as providing pre and post data to the project made the engineering cost so much less and so much simpler. Well, anytime you can come to the table at the Brick with a realized savings, not a calculated savings, there's nothing but attaboys all around. So they're extremely pleased that we can implement sort of levels of automation, get savings, reduce the cost of our product, and it seems like it's a win-win all the way around.